Okay, so let's take a look at the two quadratics that were on this thing. First one was the one that I kind of set up on a T that we kind of talked about. And you want to watch for that anytime you're in a situation where you have a problem that is already in this nice, perfect square scenario, meaning there's only one variable. That variable is already set up nicely. So the first thing that I would choose to do is bring the 9 to the other side. Now, I know some of you would do this in one step, and I'm perfectly happy to see you do that in that one step. You know, you could have just jumped straight here, and that's okay. Now, when I go to take the square root of both sides, because it was set to do that, I would get a plus or minus the square root of 9 over 2. But the square root of 9 is a pretty nice number. It's just 3. And then we still have that plus or minus, but I couldn't actually fix the root 2 that's in the bottom. Now, if I chose to move the 4 to the other side, I'm getting a little bit closer. Notice that I had to add it, so it made it positive. And last but not least, we're going to divide everything by 3. So 4 divided by 3 is 4/3. This one divided by 3 is that. And that's actually a very good answer. There's a slightly better answer that is 4/3 plus or minus root 2 over 2, because there's sort of an agreement in math not to ever leave a radical in the denominator of a fraction. So right here, if you chose to multiply the top and bottom by root 2, that kind of cleans it up. We call that rationalizing the denominator. And this right here is the best answer that we can get. Now notice that I could do what I showed you in the other video where I could find out where this crosses 0. I could literally do that, but the math inner thing about turning it into a fraction won't work because it's not a fraction, it's irrational. So if I wanted to, what I could do is I could find this as a decimal, and I could find these intersections as a decimal and see if they match. So let me just do that real quick. So again, I'm going to do 2 parentheses 3x minus 4 squared minus 9. And because it's set equal to 0, I'm just going to go ahead and go for it, because the calculator has this feature that I can calculate the 0. Number 2. Now, we went over this in class, but what we want to do is we want to move to the left side of one of the zeros, which if I go right here, I'm just to the left, and if I move over a little bit, I'm to the right, and I hit enter twice. Now, you'll notice this 0.626 decimal. I'm going to go ahead and take the answer so I can see it right here. So when I did my work, I got one of my answers is 4/3 minus the square root of 2 divided by 2. And there is exactly the same decimal. So it's not as nice as when we have a perfect fraction, but you can see that value. And if I hit second enter, it will repeat what I did, and I could go back and edit this and make that a plus. And this decimal, 2.040, would actually match this value right here, which I'm not going to take the time to do in this video, but we could if we wanted to. And of course, completing the square, I told you that's a very important thing to do for us. So I'm going to start by kind of setting the problem up a little bit in the way that we'd like to do. I'm going to move the 11x to the left side and the 1 to the right. Remember, for completing the square, we like a little hole right here. But I don't like this to be a 2. So let's divide everything by 2. And so now we've kind of set the table for what we want to do. And if I take 11 over 2 and cut it in half, I get 11 over 4. But remember, it wasn't just cut in half. The trick was cut in half and square. So this is 121 over 16 because 11 and 4 squared. Now, again, this isn't too bad because you can see that 8 over 16 is a half. So 8 and 121 is 129/16. However, if you do struggle with that, keep in mind I did say we're okay with using some calculators. I got a half, and I've got 121/16. If I literally just type it in and hit math, enter, enter, it says that the answer is 129/16. Now, just like this problem up here, we're now set and ready to go. We've got it set equal to a perfect square. But what's amazing about these kind of quadratics is as soon as you do the right work, something really cool happens, because the square root of the 16 part is 4, and so we have a common denominator. So if we move that 11 across, it's going to become negative. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of number 8. And that's the end of this video. And so the last video will deal with our absolute values. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.